Since the last edition of Vive la Résistance, things have changed. While the midterm elections yielded a Democratic majority in the House of Representatives, although the Senate remains controlled by the Republican Party, some freshmen or women in Congress do bring novelty to U.S. politics, such as Representatives Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar. Well, history seems to have changed too, as we learned recently that during the Independence War, the Continental Army overran the British Royal Air Force by taking over airports. On a more serious note, change in the US also means camps, officially called border area detention centers, where undocumented migrants are now gathered for deportation, in a number of cases after being separated from their children. Some people have recalled the internment camps for Japanese Americans during World War II, such as in Manzano, California. A Democratic congresswoman has even called them concentration camps. As we say, Vive la Résistance, what is resistance about and above all against today?
Today, resistance goes back to our history in 1776 when we declared independence from the United Kingdom. So resistance is part of us, is part of our blood. We believe in civil disobedience, as a matter of fact. That's part of also of our culture. If you don't agree with something and you feel that it's wrong, it's unlawful, illegal, you go forward and you resist. So basically resistance is in our blood. We've been resisting, first of all, we call that the War of Revolution, when we defeated the British when we declared our independence in 1776. And after that, we are just a country that believes that we'll stand up for what's right. So that is what resistance is about today. It's always been that way. So we will stand up for whatever we think is right.
One thing that is often heard is that in a democracy, when politics goes astray, the law, especially the judiciary, remains the last defense against arbitrariness. That has been said about France lately, and in all aspects, that goes for the USA too. Several states in the South have passed laws considerably restricting, if not banning, abortion. A few days ago, the Supreme Court all but legalized gerrymandering. Journalists and humanitarian aid workers along the Mexican border are being targeted by federal agents for trying to report on or bring basic relief to people trying to get into the United States from Mexico. Well, as William Pidiander, the British politician, once said, where laws end, tyranny begins. What kind of resistance can and should be opposed to this apparent use of the law to purely repressive acts today?
Well, there are a lot of things that we can do. In fact, you mentioned the judiciary. We're very proud of the fact that the federal judge in California just declared the detention center, as far as the wall. He's talking about the wall. They declared that the funds that would be used to build the wall in California are completely unconstitutional. They cannot take the funds away from the military programs to build the wall. So this may go to the Court of Appeals, but we do have judges in the U.S. that will uphold the law and will uphold what is right. So as far as what's going on in these detention centers, or if you want to call them concentration camps, where we have the ICE going after these innocent victims, even the DACA, the Dreamers, we have federal courts that are willing to say, no, this is not right, and we will stand up to make sure that this is declared illegal.
Well, finally, speaking about resistance here in Paris, as you know, this year, August 25th will mark the 75th anniversary of the liberation of Paris from Nazi Germany's military occupation. That was a beautiful moment of unity between France and America, as the three French forces led by General de Gaulle led the enemy to defeat with the support of the Allies from Britain and above all America had successfully performed D-Day. As someone whose heart beats on both sides of the Atlantic, an American and, well, almost a French woman too, how would you like resistors or résistants in both countries to understand and ultimately to tell the whole population so that we can have a new liberation in Washington soon?
Well, first of all, I love the fact that we are just celebrating the 75th anniversary of the liberation of Paris. I am a school teacher, and I take my school kids on a tour of the liberation of Paris, which we start from where the Americans came. First, it was the French resistance on Sherman tanks, and then the Americans came closely by. It was not anybody else but the Americans. It was the French and the Americans as they liberated Paris on August 25th, 1945. So it is a moment of French and American unity that day. And I remember one of the quotes from one of the soldiers said that he'd been in D-Day. He said when he got to Paris, they asked him, "What do you want?" And he said, "I just want a nice bath." So there were Americans that were also killed that day. So as far as the liberation of Paris, we certainly believe that we played a part in making that happen. I will go on to a little bit of history. Eisenhower did not want to come to Paris to liberate Paris. He wanted to bypass Paris and go straight to Berlin, and he was talked into coming to Paris by a Swedish consul, Nordring, to come to Paris, because otherwise they said you would be responsible for the ruin of Paris if you do not come through Paris, because the Germans had the order from Adolf Hitler to leave Paris in ruins. So what can we say? We've got great examples of resistance. We've got resistance where the French helped the Americans in our American Revolution. We have the fact that the Americans helped the French during World War I. For their liberation. We can say that definitely the Americans played a key part in the liberation of France in 1944, 1945. So we just keep on fighting. Whatever our value, we have to think about our values. What are our values? If our values are not in line with what's going on in Washington, we will fight, and we will continue to fight forever.